Senator Chris Van Hollen, a Democrat from Maryland, recently embarked on a trip to El Salvador. This journey, however, was not just another routine diplomatic mission. It was a controversial and bold move that has stirred significant debate and concern among political circles and the general public alike. This was a brazen attempt to undermine the Trump administration's efforts to secure our borders and uphold the rule of law. The senator's actions have been perceived as a direct challenge to the administration's immigration policies. Van Hollen's actions have raised serious questions about his judgment, his loyalty, and his commitment to putting American citizens first. Critics argue that his priorities seem misaligned with the interests of the American people. Van Hollen's stated purpose was to advocate for the return of Abreigo Garcia, an illegal alien and member of MS-13 deported from the United States. This move has been seen as controversial and has sparked a heated debate on immigration policies. Garcia had been granted asylum under the Biden administration's lax immigration policies. However, it had been withdrawn twice by two different immigration courts. The senator's advocacy for Garcia has been viewed as a step back from the progress made in tightening immigration controls. Van Hollen's actions fly in the face of common sense and national security. Many believe that his intervention undermines the efforts to maintain a secure and lawful immigration system. Why would a sitting U.S. senator travel to a foreign country to intervene on behalf of an individual who broke our laws? This question has been at the forefront of the controversy surrounding Van Hollen's trip. Why is he siding with an illegal alien over the interests of law-abiding American citizens? This has led to a broader discussion about the role of elected officials and their responsibilities to their constituents. Van Hollen's actions have sparked outrage among patriots who see this as a betrayal of his oath of office. They argue that his actions are not in line with the values and principles he swore to uphold. Some even argue his actions could constitute treason. The debate continues as to whether his actions were a misguided attempt at diplomacy or a deliberate act of defiance against the current administration's policies. As Senator Van Hollen returns to the United States, the repercussions of his journey are yet to be fully realized. The political landscape is watching closely, and the senator's future actions will undoubtedly be scrutinized. The journey of Senator Chris Van Hollen to El Salvador has opened a Pandora's box of questions and concerns, leaving many to wonder about the true motivations behind his controversial trip. Abreigo Garcia is no sympathetic figure. He is an illegal alien who was rightfully deported from the United States. Garcia entered the country illegally, taking advantage of our generosity and exploiting our immigration system. Garcia's supporters claim he was a productive member of society, but their definition of productive is questionable at best. Garcia's presence in the United States was a slap in the face to every legal immigrant who followed the rules and waited patiently for their chance to come to America. His deportation was a victory for the rule of law and a clear message that America will not tolerate those who disregard our sovereignty. Van Hollen's attempt to reverse this deportation shows a callous disregard for the safety and security of the American people. The Logan Act, passed in 1799, is a crucial piece of legislation that protects America from foreign interference. This act was born out of a time when the young nation was vulnerable to the influences and machinations of more established foreign powers. This law makes it a crime for private citizens to engage in unauthorized diplomacy with foreign governments. By doing so, it ensures that only those with the proper authority and understanding of national interests can represent the United States on the global stage. It is a vital safeguard against rogue actors who would undermine our national interests. Unauthorized negotiations could lead to misunderstandings, conflicts, or even wars, jeopardizing the safety and security of the nation. The Founding Fathers understood the importance of a unified foreign policy. They were acutely aware that a fragmented approach could lead to inconsistent and potentially dangerous outcomes. They knew that allowing private citizens to meddle in international affairs would weaken our standing in the world and invite chaos. Such actions could erode the trust and reliability that other nations place in the United States. The Logan Act is as relevant today as it was in 1799. In an era of global interconnectedness, the potential for unauthorized diplomacy to cause significant harm is even greater. Senator Van Hollen's actions appear to be a clear violation of the Logan Act. His unauthorized trip and discussions with a foreign government undermine the established channels of diplomacy. He traveled to El Salvador with the intent to influence a foreign government's decision regarding the deportation of an individual who broke our laws. This not only oversteps his authority, but also sets a dangerous precedent. This is a blatant disregard for the Constitution and the rule of law. Upholding the Logan Act is essential to maintaining the integrity of our nation's foreign policy and ensuring that our diplomatic efforts are coherent and effective. Senator Van Hollen and his allies in the mainstream media are quick to dismiss the accusations against him, painting a picture of a man on a noble mission. They claim his trip to El Salvador was merely an act of advocacy, a humanitarian effort to address injustices, and that he was simply trying to right a wrong. But these are hollow excuses that do not hold up under scrutiny. Critics argue that his actions were far from innocent and had deeper implications. Advocating for an illegal alien's return to the United States after he was rightfully deported is not a profile in courage. It undermines the legal processes and the efforts of those who work to enforce them. It is a betrayal of the American people and the oath Van Hollen swore to uphold. The integrity of our legal system is at stake when elected officials choose to bypass it for personal or political gain. His actions are a slap in the face to every law enforcement officer working tirelessly to secure our borders. These officers put their lives on the line daily to maintain the rule of law. Van Hollen's actions go beyond mere advocacy. They represent a dangerous precedent where personal beliefs are placed above national interests. By meeting with Salvadoran officials and demanding Garcia's return, he was engaging in unauthorized diplomacy and directly interfering with the Trump administration's foreign policy. This kind of interference can have serious repercussions, potentially straining international relations and undermining the authority of the sitting government. Section 6. A partisan witch hunt? Predictably, Democrats have rushed to Van Hollen's defense, dismissing the controversy as a partisan witch hunt. They claim Republicans are trying to silence dissent and punish Van Hollen for challenging the Trump administration. This is a tired tactic used by the left to deflect criticism and silence any opposition. The facts are clear. Van Hollen overstepped his bounds and broke the law. The American people are tired of the double standard that exists in Washington. When a Democrat violates the law or abuses their power, it's always dismissed as a Republican witch hunt. The hypocrisy is astounding. Section 7. The erosion of executive power. The controversy surrounding Van Hollen's actions highlights a dangerous trend in American politics: the erosion of executive power. The Constitution grants the president broad authority to conduct foreign policy. This power is essential to ensure that America speaks with one voice on the world stage. However, in recent years, we have seen a concerted effort by Democrats in Congress to undermine the president's policy agenda. From the Iran nuclear deal to the Paris Climate Accord, Democrats have repeatedly sought to obstruct the president's efforts to advance American interests. Van Hollen's actions are part of this troubling pattern. By interfering in the Trump administration's efforts to enforce our immigration laws, he is directly challenging the president's authority and undermining our national sovereignty. Section 8. A dangerous precedent for American sovereignty. The implications of Van Hollen's actions extend far beyond this particular case. If a sitting U.S. senator can openly defy the president and interfere in foreign policy without consequence, it sets a dangerous precedent. It sends a message to the world that America is a nation divided, where elected officials are free to pursue their own agendas, regardless of the damage it may inflict on our national interests. This case is about more than just Abreigo Garcia. It's about the rule of law, the balance of power, and the future of American sovereignty. In conclusion, the actions of Senator Chris Van Hollen not only violate the Logan Act, but given that MS-13 is labeled as a terrorist organization, it borders on treason. Treason, as defined in Article 3, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution, is the crime of betraying one's country by either levying war against it or aiding and comforting its enemies. It requires overt acts, not just intentions. Abreigo Garcia has been found by 2 different courts to be a member of MS-13. He had 2 separate deportation orders and was an illegal immigrant. If he were to return to America, he would be immediately deported again due to his status as an illegal immigrant and member of a terrorist organization. This is not the first time Democrats have been on the wrong side of history. From Jim Crow laws and the KKK to Jordan Neely and MS-13, the left has a history of defending criminals and persecuting law-abiding citizens. In a recent poll, 66% of Americans want all illegal immigrants deported. Democrats, it might be time for you to start listening to your constituents. This case is a stark reminder of the delicate balance between national security and political advocacy. It serves as a cautionary tale of how far-reaching the implications of such actions can be, not just for one individual, but for the integrity of the nation as a whole. As we move forward, the question remains, will America learn from its past and uphold the rule of law, or will it continue to allow political agendas to jeopardize its sovereignty? Only time will tell.